Hi, I'm your State Representative Annette Glenn. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Hometown Heroes. Each episode of Hometown Heroes will feature community leaders, local nonprofits, and others who make a significant positive impact in the 98th District. The place we call home has so much to be proud of. I hope you enjoy learning from our hometown heroes. As always, if you ever have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact my office. Enjoy the show.
Hello, I'm John Perry, and welcome to Hometown Heroes with Representative Annette Glenn. And Representative Glenn, who is your hometown hero for today?
I am so excited. We have Nancy Woolhannon from Midland Foster Closet. She's the president. I met her over a year ago and then went and toured the facility, so I am just excited to have her here as our guest.
Thank you for inviting me to represent our nonprofit. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. John, it's good to be back with you as well.
And good to be back with you too, Representative. These are always interesting conversations that you have with folks from your community, and I see actually you have a list of questions for Nancy today.
Midland is so blessed to have a lot of wonderful organizations, of which Nancy is part of. So Nancy, Foster Closet, can you tell me how long has Foster Closet been around?
Good question. We have had a foster closet in Midland for about 3.5 years, and it was rooted in a group that is in Midland. It's called the Midland Area Interfaith Friends Group, and it's people from all churches, Muslim, Mormon, Christian, Baha'i, and we all come together to do positive things in our community. And I asked if I could start a chapter in Midland, and they wholeheartedly supported it. But then a year ago in February, the group that we had joined, it was a state organization, and there were 23 counties involved. Wow. And they decided to dissolve because the work was just getting too much for the people who were volunteering. So we were given 3 choices. We could either dispense the materials that we had to other foster closets that were going to keep going, go under the umbrella of a new one, of an old one, or we could form our own, and we decided to form our own. So we now are Midland County Foster Closet, and we've been in existence now for a little over a year under that new nonprofit name.
So Midland has more nonprofits than anywhere in the state. How long and how complicated was it for you to start the nonprofit? So you had the umbrella group and then you broke off. How complicated was the break off and rechartering?
It was pretty time intensive because there was a timeliness about it. We wanted to make sure that we followed the steps correctly. They were going to dissolve in December 2018, and we needed to meet that deadline by making sure that we had all the paperwork that we needed, that everything was just exactly right, and so we were able to do that. We were able to find some people in the community who were able to help us get that all right.
Oh, that's wonderful. So the vision, you've got this interfaith group and you're looking to make a difference.
Yes.
So what was it that triggered, this is how we make a difference?
I had heard about foster children in Midland County, and I knew that other communities had foster closets. So in reading about it, it prompted the thought that maybe Midland needed one too. And so when we formed, we were surprised to find that there are well over 100 foster children in Midland County, and definitely in need. So we serve all foster children who have gone through the training to officially become foster parents, as well as court-ordered family placement. So typically that's grandparents who take children and have been vetted by the court system to make sure it's a safe environment, and we help them too. And it works very well. The families call me on a little track phone I have for the foster closet, and they tell me the ages of the kids, the size the child is wearing, what particular things they need, and the gender. And then I go to the foster closet. We have 2 sites that are given to us, and I look for those things that the children need, whether it's diapers or shoes or boots or winter coats or whatever, and then if we don't have it, we use monies that people have donated or organizations have donated to go out and purchase those things. So it works very well, and then I call them back to say I have what you need as quickly as I can, and we make an appointment. They come in with a foster child. We ask that they bring older foster children so they will try on the clothing before they take it, and they go home happy as a lark to have some things. so many have nothing when they enter foster.
So I would think some
foster
of these
care.
foster families need
Yes.
things and need them in a hurry.
Oh, in a hurry, and especially children if they come from an environment where there has been drug abuse or a meth lab. The kids can't take anything, not a blanket, not pajamas, not extra clothes. So they pretty much enter foster care with nothing but what they're wearing. And so we're able to help in that regard, and it makes us very happy to be able to help.
Well, and no notice. These kids are pulled out.
Yes.
I mean, they may go to school and somebody picks them up and they don't go back to their house.
That's
They could be
exactly
picked up
right.
in the middle of the night.
Yes.
So they leave literally with just what they're wearing.
That's exactly right. And we've had children, we've had lots and lots and lots of babies who've gone right from the hospital to a foster home, and we've had kids all the way up to age 18. So a broad span, and that requires that we have lots of things to be able to give them, all sizes, both genders, and of course all seasons. Winter coats, boots. Some little things that are important to remember are, when a child is placed in foster care, oftentimes they have to change schools, and when that happens, they may not have any friends. Well, if you don't have boots and you don't have snow pants and you don't have mittens, you can't play on the playground. Well, how do you make friends if you don't have those things? So we can make that transition for them by making sure they have what they need and they can make new friends at their new school.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I visited one of your locations.
Yes.
Can you tell John, just describe, you walked in the door, I mean, you just kept taking me to another place where there was something
Yes.
to show me and another
Yes.
place where there was something to
Yes.
show me. So if you would share that with John, because he hasn't seen it.
Oh yes, I'd be glad to. Our main location is Holy Family Episcopal Church, which is right next to a big public swimming pool. It's a perfect spot.
great location.
And the church gives us that space for free. And we have cupboards that we had built to store all of our things. And so all around the church, they give us all the space that they have. It's a very small congregation, and they have been most generous with anything that we need. So we are very grateful. So we have summer things, we have another closet of winter things, used items. The children get a balance of new things and used things. We have things such as diapers and toys and anything that a foster parent would need, or a custodial grandparent or foster grandparent would need. We can fill that need right on the spot.
And when you think of that swath of age that you
Yes.
talked about, from newborn to 18,
Yes.
you're talking really about all sizes of kids and young people.
We are, yes. The week before last we had 4. This week we had another, and we just heard about 5 more that are coming within the next week or so, and another cluster coming after that. So, yes, it's very rewarding work, but it's also very sad because every child that comes in, if we see them, had some terrible trauma, either has been beaten or sexually abused or burned with cigarettes or starved or neglected, and it makes us feel good that we can do one little thing to make their life a little bit easier.
Oh, there's no question that you take a load off of these foster parents. Because if they've got these kids, it's not so easy to run out and get these things. So to be able to bring them with you to a safe, very warm, welcoming environment where they get to pick. I mean, some colors they may like, check the sizes. It's just a very welcoming environment. When she talks about closets all around the church, so
Yes.
both sides of the sanctuary, behind the sanctuary, big drawers that you could pull out that were full of things. One thing I remember is Nancy's a former teacher, and and it's a big priority for her to make sure these children have a book, that there's something that they can read. So there was a section of books as well as everything else. So extra touch on top of everything else.
And I'll jump on that point that you just made. Literacy is very important, and 75% of children in foster care are operating below grade level. 50% graduate from high school, and 1/3 of boys in foster care by the time they're 21 are incarcerated. So reading and math skills are very, very important. So we actually at the Foster Closet are running a pilot program, and we're buying books for children to use this summer who qualify as foster or custodial care children, and we're giving them for free, and then they come to us twice during the summer, and we reward them with things like loons, baseball tickets, ice cream cones, toys, all kinds of things. But they will bring their book to us, show us that they've accomplished half the book when they get some surprises, and then they bring it back at the end of the summer and they get more of a reward. It's a good incentive for kids because they backslide so much. So if they're already at risk, having something to do over the summer that's academic is really important, and we target the grade, getting input from the teacher and the foster parent about where they're operating in terms of grade level. That is, if they're in 5th grade, they may only be reading at the 2nd grade level, so we would give them 5th grade material.
And you've got a large area. I mean,
Yes.
you're located in Midland, and you have 2
Yes.
locations,
Yes.
but you have people coming from how many counties?
Just from Midland County.
Okay.
And actually that's in our bylaws only because many of the donations that we receive are designated by the donor as please use only in Midland County. And so if a child is from Midland but placed in another county, we can do that.
Okay.
Or if they're from another county placed in Midland, we can do that.
Okay.
But other than that, they have to have some connection to Midland in some way or form, just so that we honor the wishes of the people who are donating money very generously to help children in the county specifically.
So there was a group of foster closets, and when you had this change, what happened to the other foster closets?
Many of them dissolved. Some of them got their own 501c3. Some went under the other umbrella of another 501c3. But I would say the majority of them dissolved. And so all the things that they had collected were then given to the main office, who distributed it to the closets that were going to stay open. So I think we made the right choice. We're doing very well. We have 8 board members. They're very active. We all love children and helping children, and it's working very well.
Well, I am glad that you made the choice to
Thank
stick
you.
around.
Thank you.
John, you're going to have a list of things to visit when you come to Midland, but foster closet is a great one.
Yes.
So you've said 0 to 18.
Yes.
You and I met at a forum on opioid
Yes.
abuse.
Yes.
And I know I asked you the question at that point in time, what percentage of kids were there due to addiction? And you gave me a very high number.
Yes, I would say approximately 95% of the children who are placed in foster care, the insidious disease of addiction has taken over at least one of the parents, and it's not a healthy environment for them, so they are removed. And of course, parents, when they are using, can't always make good choices on their own, and as a result, the children are removed and placed in foster care. So yes, very high percentage. If I had to choose the 2 things that foster kids need besides the physical things that we
Right.
provide, like clothing, it would be they need to have academic skills boosted by lots of programs, because they are already at risk because of the trauma they've experienced. And then the other thing is to work on the problem of addiction in our community. It just continues to grow, and it is a disease, and so it has to be treated as one.
And I'm appreciating the recognition of it as disease.
It is, yes.
So different kind of treatment than has happened in the past.
Yes.
So if I'm a foster parent and I've signed up, I've gone through training, and I get a call in the middle of the night and I get these kids, how do I find you?
Well, that's a very good question. We have actually a website. If you'd like it, I can give it to you.
I would love that website.
Sure. It's www.https://midlandcountyfostercloset.com. And on it, there is a review of all of our board members. It tells what we do. It tells about ways that people can volunteer. It indicates what we need. So if we run out of a certain size of gently used clothing, we can ask for that on our website. It gives a phone number and an info line an email contact, and it works very, very well. So parents will call me, and then I call them back, and that sets everything in motion.
So I know while we were sitting on the floor together, you were checking your phone. You were checking to see if there were kids you needed to take care of.
Yes.
So does DHHS, Department of Health and Human Services, do they reach out to you? They too. Sounds like they're telling you kids are coming.
They do, and we have another agency in town called Adoption Option.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yes, and then there's others in Bay City, and if they have children placed in Midland, they would qualify too. So we have several agencies that work with foster families and foster children, and and they all call with needing help for kids. As long as we have a Midland connection, so we use the funds the way people intended it, we're all set.
So very much a community
It is,
effort.
and people are so generous, and I go to a lot of agencies and a lot of other groups to speak, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, schools, and everybody does something that just makes a difference in the life of a child who is in foster care. I went to Coleman Elementary one time, and they had bags filled with stuffed animals and toiletries they gave us, and it was the student council who had pulled everything together. Another was a group of Boy Scouts and other bigger groups like the 100 Club in Midland. But it's amazing. We have a very, very generous, kind-hearted community, and people care. And when I moved to Midland to teach school in 1971, I loved Midland. It's called the City of Parks and Churches, and that is exactly what it is, a park in every neighborhood and churches everywhere, and I still absolutely love it. But this insidious disease of addiction has just affected so many children, and I would have never guessed that the statistics of children entering foster care would be the way they are. That used to be a rarity, but now it's very commonplace. So we're grateful that so many people support us.
Well, I am really just glad you're there. So once they come for their initial visit, sometimes, you know, it's a week. You have these children for weeks. Sometimes you have them for years. How often can they visit the foster closet?
That's a very good question. They can come as often as they need something. So, for example, we had a baby come yesterday, 5 months old, and met the needs. But if that mom decided tomorrow, oh, I forgot to get something, she can come back. As children grow and they change sizes, they come back. Seasonally, they come back. Typically in September, we have a sign up for all the foster parents who are interested, and they come in for an appointment, and they write down everything the child is going to need for winter, and we scurry around to find boots and snow pants and winter coats and hats and gloves and have that ready for them. And so they can come pretty much any time, or even if the needs are different. As kids become teenagers, sometimes the things that they'll wear and they won't wear are different. We even have had twins who one will wear this and the other says, I'm not wearing that, I want this. So we just try to meet the needs of the kids. We certainly want to make sure we give them things that they're comfortable in and will enhance their self-esteem.
So I saw on your website that it's best to often call you before we bring donations.
Yes.
Because if you've just gotten a lot of shoes in a size, you may not have room for them.
Yes.
So how do you handle trying to match all of what's offered and what you've got space for?
Thank you. Good question again. Right now, we have pretty much what we need. So we're not taking any used clothing right now, and we only take very gently used anyway. But if somebody calls, I just refer them to a place in the community that might need it, but not sell it, preferably give it away to families who are in need. That happens sometimes, and other times we have a run of kids who are all 4 years old, they're all boys, and we run out of those clothes, and we need to ask for additional used clothing, and then we start accepting
So it
it
might be
again.
kind of hard to predict from one week to the next.
It's very
just what
hard.
your
We
population
might have
be.
4 4-year-olds one week, and the next week we might have 3 teenagers. So we never know what's going to be needed and what size. Yes.
So you just prepare for all options.
We do, yes.
And then figure a way around
Yes.
when there's a need.
Yes, and then we have another site as well. It's Church of the Brethren, and it's just about a 1/4 mile from our main site, and we don't take clients there, but that church gives us a wonderful space that a donor pays for, $25 a month, and that's where we keep all of our big items like new baby cribs, high chairs, boxes of diapers, winter coats, boots, all those kinds of things we keep there. And then when I get the call about what a child is going to need, I can scoot over there, get what I need there, and take it to the main closet and add to it. So it works very well.
Wow. That I would have never thought of cribs and high chairs.
It's interesting because babies need furniture. In
They
these
do.
cases, too.
They
Yes.
do, and I guess because that wasn't part of the tour, I had not pictured
Yes.
furniture as well as
Yes.
something you did.
Yes, but just as an added thing, we only accept new
Yeah.
cribs because of the liability of the foster closet. If it's an old crib with slats and it doesn't meet standard regulations currently, then we would be afraid a child would get hurt. So, yeah, so we have new cribs.
So that brings another point, gently used. So tell me what you take new and what you take gently used, and if you would, tell me what gently used means.
I will. Gently used, in, I think, the board's mind's eye, would be clothing that you would not be embarrassed to have your own child wear in public. And so it has to be no holes, not frayed, not worn places on the fabric, and that would be gently used. Sometimes we get things that are stained and have a rip in them, and we would not want a child with low self-esteem to wear something that would make them feel worse. So we want things that are relatively new and very gently used so that they will feel good about themselves when they are with their peers. Yes.
I imagine coming to shop with you is an experience they have never had before.
Well, we actually had one little boy come not very long ago, sweetest little thing, and we had all these things on the table for him, and he said, "I can't believe it, I've never had any new clothes." And then he started to cry, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I don't have any money." And I said, "Oh, honey, you get to take all this home for free. You don't have to give us any money at all." And so it's rewarding to see. We assume kids in communities have what they need in terms of clothing, but some kids have nothing. We had one little boy come in, he had one pair of socks, he was 10, and it was a men's pair of socks, that's all he had, and one pair of blue jeans. 3 little girls came in, sisters, they had no pajamas. They had to wear their foster mom's pajamas at night until we could get them some. So that's pretty typical of the scenarios that we see when children come in. Yes, but we help with car seats, we help with new cribs, we help with diapers, almost anything that they need within reason.
Wow, that's just impressive.
Yes.
And you've mentioned the word trauma a couple of times too, and we all endure trauma in our lives, but I would think especially when you're a little kid,
Oh, yes.
that just really exacerbates things all the more.
It does, yes. The emotional effect of living in a home where there has been neglect and abuse doesn't go away. It's always there and manifests itself oftentimes in the behaviors of the kids. So oftentimes children in foster care, as they get older, the behaviors stick with them. The bad memories are triggered by certain things that happen or things that people say. And so we do our best, but many of the children do go to counseling and get help that way to help them through those bad memories that they have of being in a home where there was abuse and neglect.
So you mentioned you work with DHHS
Yes.
as well as a court. You want to share a little bit about the court and how that works with you?
All that's required, all that we need from the court when a family should come and they have a child that was court ordered to live with a relative, they just show us the court order. So we don't actually work with court personnel, they just show us the form, and I don't keep it or make a copy of it. I just check off that, yes, it's legitimate. And 99% of the time, they're right on. And they have the proof that we have vetted the process to make sure that every family who comes is a family that needs what they're saying they need, and that it very rarely happens that anybody is dishonest, so that's good. In fact, most foster parents, when they come in, they are free to take as much used clothing as they would like and think they need, and most take a very reasonable amount, and no one takes more than they need, which speaks very highly.
I remember you telling me you would sometimes have to encourage them. You should probably have at least a week's worth of clothing.
Oh, absolutely.
You should have a week. I thank you for taking 3 outfits, but maybe a week's worth so that you're washing once a week with these kids would be okay. And them just having to really convince them that that was okay, that was not a selfish, but that was a good choice.
Absolutely. We had to do that the other day. And then when the children come, we also give them new packages of underwear, new packages of socks. We give them a homemade blanket that churches and groups make for us. We give them a homemade pillowcase. We give them lots of books that are donated, and we give them also a toy if the foster home they're going to doesn't have a child in that home that age that needs something to do, and we do that as well. And usually toiletries, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, all kinds of things that they will need as they settle into their foster situation.
I had forgotten about the homemade pillowcases
Yes.
and the homemade blankets. Was that one of the churches from the interfaith community that you work with that took that project on?
It's several churches making them, yes, and they take great pride in making them beautiful, and they use kid-friendly fabric, and so we usually have several out that the kids can choose from, and then they take a fleece blanket home as well. We even have homemade quilts that are donated, and so every child goes home. And we also, when a family comes and they have biological children in their home, we give them a blanket and a pillowcase too, because you can understand if it was an 8-year-old child, how you'd feel a little jealous if somebody in your house was getting all these things. So we try to make them feel better by saying, you're important too. Here's a blanket for you and a pillowcase, so you're very important to us as well. Yes.
You really look out for the whole picture, the whole family. It's just a wonderful organization.
Thank you.
So so the interfaith community is meeting. What was it that triggered you guys saying, this is where we can make a big difference?
I stood up at a meeting and I talked about what I had heard about the state organization, which at that point was still functioning, and we decided as a vote that that's something that we would like to try. It's not associated with a particular church, it's just the group as a whole. So some of the board members are actually part of that group, some are not, and it doesn't matter whether they are or they're not, as long as they love kids and want to help them in the best way that we can. So yes.
So volunteers, is there an age that you're looking for?
We have had some high school kids and some middle school children come to volunteer. We get a lot of kids from the Honor Society who need hours to work with a nonprofit. We have a lot of college kids who need hours working for a nonprofit. They will come to us, and there's not really an age limit. We've had parents working aside their children. For example, there's a pharmacist in town who came over and sorted, you've heard of LuLaRoe clothing?
Yes.
LuLaRoe. Someone donated a whole bunch because she was moving out of town, and we needed sorted and marked, and she brought her friend and her daughters with her, and they worked side by side to sort all these things and mark them so we could find them very readily.
Well, Nancy, thank you for being here. We'll put the website up so that people can see it and find you there. Is it okay if we list the phone number for the show as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you want the phone number for the foster closet then? Is that what you mean?
Let's end with the phone number.
End with the phone number.
989-600-8018.
Wonderful. Nancy, thank you for being here, and thank you so much for what you do.
You're welcome. My
And
pleasure.
and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.